Come on in, everyone. Come on in, because yes, I am back from vacation and I am here to catch up on my videos. I hope y'all still want to talk about some of this stuff because although it may be old to y'all, it is new to me because I'm just watching it. So I'm on my, what I want to call this, I Told You So YouTube tour. I'm on an I Told You So YouTube tour because I had to start with the Cassie and Diddy video. If y'all ain't watched that, please go back and watch it. It's the I Told You So video. And after I watched Somebody's Son, I said I might as well put the same old title up. I Told You So. Who on Somebody's Son is being real? Ain't nobody being real on Somebody's Son. The only person that I want to say has been really honest with knowing who they are and what they want and what their true intentions are is probably that mama, Chariss. Y'all might not have liked what she said. She might have said it nasty. She was rude. She was mean. I agree with you on all that. But she spoke her truth. She spoke her truth. Everybody else on here is lying. They're lying. Maybe I shouldn't call them liars. If you're not aware, can I call you a liar? Probably not. So you're either lying or you're in denial. So we're going to go through everybody and y'all are going to let me know, do you think they was lying or do you think they're in denial? And I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about James choosing Alyssa and what reasons he chose her for. He lied or he's in denial. I'm talking about Alyssa saying no to James and her reason why she said no. She lying or she's in denial. I'm talking about Jasmine saying the reason she said no, she lying or she in denial. Paige talking about she chose herself. Girl, you didn't choose yourself. You got dumped. She's lying or in denial. Joshua choosing Shambrielle, lying or in denial. Shambrielle thinking she really was chosen. Girl, lying or in denial. I mean, is there anyone safe? Is there anyone safe? No. No, there's not. I guess I could say, starting off talking Chad and Katina, I guess I could say, no, I really can't even say Katina, you in denial too, because you're still in denial over your relationship with your son. I know this was probably a good moment for her to spend some time with her son, but I think she called him out correctly on a lot of his behavior. But I think the part she's still in denial of is she's in denial over the part of who the man Chad has become to be. A lot of it has to do with Katina. And I hope she understands that. And he doesn't, though. Uh, be honest with y'all, I don't want to sound too bad, but secretly, Chad, he doesn't really like women. And I don't say like women like in the LGBT world. He's angry with women. This is why he doesn't really care about them. Like he's told us, I don't care about your feelings. I just want you for sort of usefulness. That's it. But do I really adore and care for women and cherish them? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He's a very dangerous person to be with, because his future disrespect of women or lack of empathy, that's what he calls it, lack of empathy, is coming from a deeper sense of his relationship with his mother. And until he accepts that, understands it, and starts treating that, he's going to take that out on any lady he's with. But when the show first came on, I'm going to go through it just as if y'all, whatever. Jasmine was running around talking about she missed Lauren. Girl, what for? For the competition? I bet you did miss Lauren for the competition because, like I said before, Jasmine just wanted to win. And I said it at the time, all that emotion Jasmine was doing, crying over Chad because he was talking to another woman. I said, Jasmine, you can't be in love with this man. You just met him. Why are you crying like this? Because I believe, once again, what was really fueling Jasmine was she wanted to win. And what she was willing to do was to do whatever she needed to do to win. And I hate to keep going back to the extreme version of the P. Diddy. Once again, women using their bodies in order to get an upper leg on another woman. And then later they come back and say they were a victim of the man. So let me get this straight, ladies. You're willing to put your body on the line to sway a man in your direction so that you can step over another woman. And then when that man does something you don't like or appears to be someone that you don't like, you're the victim. Even though, think about it, you originally tried to manipulate the man with your body. That's really what you tried to do initially. You tried to manipulate a man with your body to get him to swing in your favor. And then when that didn't work the way you wanted to work, or you later found out afterwards that this man had other non-redeemable qualities, you then describe yourself as what? A victim of the man. We're going to get into Miss Tamaris. We're going to get in her too. Another person in denial. You start to look back at these stories Tamaris said where she was done wrong by men. Girl, Tamaris. Tamaris got some wounds in her, and she's a combination of a woman with wounds, but also, I'm not going to call her a gold digger, but her ways, Tamaris, you're not a victim. You're not a victim. You can't walk into lions' dens. Ladies, you cannot walk into lions' dens and then blame the lion for devouring you. That's not how this works. That's not how the world works. And I don't know where women have been taught this. Who has taught women this? Where have you learned this behavior from, that you can manipulate men, put yourself in sticky situations, and when the situations don't turn out the way you want, you see yourself as a victim of the man, even if that man did do something that was not right against you? You cannot be completely absolved by it. And let me tell you something, this is so dangerous, ladies, because what you can falsely believe is the Tamaris story, that the reason why you're not in a loving, great, protective relationship is because the men are trash. But you are attracted to this. This is what you go after. This is who you're willing to hop into bed with. This is who you're willing to put it all on the line for. How can mistakes that happen in your life all be the fault of another person? This is just not advice for men. It's also for women. The only reason why I really try to help women is because I think women have so much more at stake, right? And typically it's their bodies that are at stake, right? And so I just hate to see women doing what Jasmine did and Tamaris did. So anyway, did y'all see this show? It was just some crazy work going on. So check this out. So Jasmine reveals to us that secretly in bedtime pillow talk, Chad was talking crazy about Paige, talking about how he was not even interested in Paige. He wasn't attracted to Paige, all this stuff. She's known this for a while. This isn't something new. But when Lauren was there, she was willing to keep the secret, and she was still willing to canoodle and sleep with Chad, even though he was already talking bad about Paige. So why now, Paige? I mean, yeah, not Paige, Jasmine. Why at the very end, when he finally says, "You're the one I want to have a long-term relationship," why was that the time for you to say no. No, no, no. Uh Jasmine is like these owls I got in my backyard. And owls don't like to eat dead food. They like to capture their prey. They like to devour it. I had some owls in a tree, baby owls, grown owls. And then there was like this dead rabbit in the yard. I decide I'm going to leave the dead rabbit by the tree because I'm thinking, you know, Mr. Owl, here you go. I'm going to feed you. You don't even have to go out and hunt. I'm going to give you this dead rabbit, lay it at your feet. You know what that owl did that night? He didn't even touch that dead rabbit. You know what he did? He went out and hunted for a live rabbit to eat. And later that next day, my dead, fully intact rabbit was still there. And I could see remnants that that owl ate another rabbit, not the one I left him. That's Jasmine. Jasmine told us who she was when she says, I replace. Jasmine said to us, point blank to our faces, I replace. What she said to us was, I like to replace women. I don't want to come along when the man is single and there's no one in his life, because that doesn't give me any pleasure, any joy. What I get my most joy from is replacing another woman. And so at the very end, there was no woman to replace because Lauren was gone and he basically said he didn't want Paige. And so what Jasmine said was, well, then why am I here? Because all that crying Jasmine was doing, talking about how much she loved the other women and she feels sad to hurt them. That is because she knows who she is on the inside. And does she really want to be that person? I don't know. But she can't stop herself. She can't stop herself. She's like the owl. She likes the competition. She likes the hunt. She likes the kill. And although she wished she wasn't wired like that, she is. And the minute the race was over, the trophy's yours, Jasmine. Here you are spending days crying over this man you never knew. Now he's being laid at your feet. Now all of a sudden you don't want him. She walked away from that man. And I don't care what Jasmine says when she says the reason she didn't want him was because the way he treated Jasmine. I don't believe it. Because he was treating Jasmine, I'm sorry, the way he was treating Paige, I don't believe it. Because he was treating Paige that way prior to all of this. And you didn't care. Because you were still in competition with Lauren. And once Lauren removed herself, there was no competition. That's why I tell women the fastest way to get rid of some of these women is say you can have them. You want them? You can have them. I will not compete with you. There are so many women who are out here in the world not competing for a man. That's not what they're competing for. They're actually competing against other women. And what they're competing to do is to tell that other woman, look, I'm better than you. I am worthy. At the heart of it is more than not just being chosen by a man. At the heart of it is also outdoing other women. This is the mentality of side chicks. Side chicks thrive off of beating other women. They thrive off of it. How many times have you seen a woman talk about that when they go public with their man, another woman drops in their DMs and sends them a tape, a text message, anything? Your man liked my video. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And a lot of times it is not to necessarily point out to the man. It is to point out to the woman. And that is who Jasmine is. She may not like me saying it about her, but it's who she is. And until she figures out, where did this come from that I have to compete with other women in order to feel good about myself, right? Where did this come from? She is going to need to explore it very, very, very deeply. How is it? When was her first situation in her life where she felt in competition with another woman for the love of a man? Does she have step siblings? Does she have an issue with her father loving another woman over her? I don't know. But she clearly likes to compete with women, but yet she feels guilty for killing them just like the owl and destroying them. The owl don't feel guilty. The owl does not feel guilty. The owl knows who he is. And I'm going to say, the gaslighting that Paige tried to do on all of us for when she was rejected by this man chat, girl, go sit down. Go sit down. Paige, two things can be right at the same time. It can be true that Chad was never attracted to you. It could be true that Chad telling you, I want you to show more of your sexy, sensual, or affectionate side. That it didn't matter if you did it anyway because he was not interested in the first place. That is all true, Paige. But this part, the second part, Paige, that you are telling yourself is that you do ooze femininity and that you are being gaslit by Chad. I'm sorry. It's not true. He's also right. And the more that your conversation went on with Chad, the more I saw it. I mean to tell you, the way that Paige turned the rejection of Chad on her to be about a weak Black man putting down a Black woman, I was like, girl, what the heck are you talking about? She said he was a weak ass man and that he was gaslighting her into making believe that she wasn't feminine. And because he couldn't come straight up with it and strong with it, he is solely the problem. Like I've said, does he have a problem? He does. But for Paige not to recognize how she herself comes across means that, Paige, you might just have as big of a problem as Chad. Girl, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Paige sat here and told one of the biggest lies of the whole episode. She said she tried to leave with Lauren when Lauren left. Basically said, I was going to leave with Lauren. But the reason why I stayed, Jasmine, this is her talking to Jasmine, is because I wanted you to see it through. What? Paige, the reason why you stayed and not left with Lauren is because you were there for Jasmine so you could see it through. So are you trying to tell me you already knew that Chad liked Jasmine and you was just sticking around to give Jasmine moral support? Get out of here, Paige. Paige was here to win too, because like I said earlier before, it was the competition that was keeping a lot of ladies here. A lot of you have written down in my comments that you didn't like these shows because you felt that you didn't like the narrative of women competing for men. Y'all got it all wrong. Y'all got it all wrong because once again, you are seeing these women as victims having to compete for men. But I keep wanting you to see it for what it is. The women are not competing for the man. The man is the prize for them. But really what they're doing is they're competing against each other. That is what they're doing. They are competing against each other. And for you to believe that these women want the men more than they want to be able to beat another woman, you're wrong. Because if getting the man was the ultimate prize and the prize wasn't to beat another woman, Jasmine would have said yes to Chaz. You see, because she would have gotten what she wanted, but she didn't want to get that without being able to take out another woman. This is the side chick mentality. And for Paige to sit up here and say that the only reason she stuck around in this so-called dating experiment after Lauren left was because she wanted to be there for Jasmine. So how would that work, Paige? That you would go off and run off into the sunset with Chad, and then you would still be friends with Paige, who just slept with your man? How was there even a viable pathway forward for you, Paige, after you found out that he had slept with Jasmine? Where could that even go? You would never be able to be friends with Paige, even if you were with Chad, even if he did want you. So you sticking there for Jasmine is a lie. And you're in denial. Okay? And like I said, if you ever want to break old bad patterns and habits in your life, the first thing you've got to stop doing is seeing yourself as a victim. You've got to see yourself as playing a pivotal role in the outcome of your life. I'm not saying that people don't do you wrong. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be doing some of the things they're doing in your life. But if you do not see yourself as a pivotal role, as the main character in the movie of your life, then you're never going to correct it. Because what you're always going to say to yourself is, although I had this small role in my life, like I'm not even a supporting actress in my movie, I'm just like an extra. All these other people are the main actors and actresses. So when the movie of my life goes wrong, I am just an extra in my movie, but yet I get caught up in it. No, you are a main actress, a main actor. And the sooner you take back your own power and say, I'm the main actress, I'm the headliner. You see, people believe that accountability weakens you because then people believe accountability points out what you did wrong. No, people. No. Accountability actually makes you grow stronger because it is through accountability that you fully see the picture. Once you fully see the picture and you take accountability for how you played a role, that then becomes your power because now you can see, well, hey, had I not done that, that wouldn't have happened. Had I not done that, that wouldn't have been happening. And as a result, you gain power back over the movie of your life. Accountability empowers you. But so many people run away from accountability because they think it weakens them. And it thinks, oh, I'm blaming the victim. No. I'm really trying to move people from being a victim to being a victor. But I can't move you to being a victor until you stop painting yourself as the victim. Is anybody getting what I'm saying out here? Is anybody getting it? Now, I want to move on to what was the next people? Charlize and James. I said it before, Miss Charlize, you're going to have to let that son of yours go. And Miss Charlize says something very, very interesting at one point in this episode. She says how hurtful it is to carry, what did she say? To carry a child that doesn't want to listen to you. Well, Miss Charlize, you did carry a child and you did carry a baby, but he's no longer a child or a baby. So you should not be expecting childlike behavior from a grown man. Yes, you carried him as an infant and as a child, but he's a grown man. So for you to expect to have the same relationship with a grown 30-year-old man that you had with a baby that was in your womb or a baby that you was breastfeeding is ridiculous. You need to grow up. You need to grow up. And really, James comes off to me like a kid who is like a preacher's kid, a PK kid. He's like, all of this defiance, he needs to go to therapy too. He needs to go to therapy because you could start to clearly see that his choosing of Alicia was nothing more than a fight with his mother to prove to his mother that I'm not a child. I suspect that Miss Chariss treats James like a child in more ways than just his dating life. Now, James seems to have a good job, so it looks like he's able to provide for himself financially. He should be. But somewhere else in there, James is probably accepting favors or things from his mother that is still very childlike. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the mother still does things for James like he's a child. Sometimes mothers still do their child's laundry. Sometimes they're still helping their children financially. I don't know. But it's quite clear that Miss Chariss believes that she still has the same position in her son's life as she did when he was a child. And that's got to be getting reinforced in other kind of ways. I don't believe that the only way Chariss is over mothering James is just in this area of dating. I believe that she's also over mothering him in other ways. Could it be that she's bailed him out, right? Could it be that James is a son out here who takes a lot of risk? Maybe he takes risk financially. Maybe he calls himself an entrepreneur. Maybe he does a lot of risky things in the world besides risky women. And then when he gets in trouble, he comes back and his parents bail him out. And so what Miss Chariss has decided to do is I need to overparent him because when he gets in trouble, I have to bail him out. It could be other ways, financially, other kind of ways. And as a result, she now even carries that overly mothering into dating because it is quite clear that Miss Chariss has been doing this with James in his life because he's even mentioned it. But the fact that this is the only area where he would have to draw a boundary around his mother, I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I always tell you that when someone ever tells you that you're the only one that got problems with me or you're the only one that sees it, I don't believe it because when multiple people see something, that means multiple people see it. So we don't know the whole story with James and Chariss. And the way that James stuck on Alicia, even though they were not a good match, they were not a good match in any kind of way, tells me that he was putting aside any logic. Here is a guy who is supposed to be computer science, whatever he is. He put aside all logic and he was purely running off of emotion of his loins. And I believe the actual stronger emotion was the fact of he felt he could defy his mother and he wanted to. I believe, honestly, that the thrill of picking Alicia because his mother didn't like him was a stronger lure than even the physical aspect of Alicia. Did he think that Alicia was good looking? Yeah, because when they went on their date, he asked her for a kiss. When he was with Shambrielle, Shambrielle had to darn near beg for a kiss. So was he attracted to Alicia? Yes. And he's always attracted to Alicia. That's what we've seen. And Miss Chariss was hotter than fish grease when James continually was protecting Alicia over her. If you listen to Miss Chariss, she was hotter than fish grease. And she kept saying, James, you didn't protect me. James, you didn't protect me. Well, this part of it is Miss Charlize's expectations of protection from James or by James. So even this weird commentary from Miss Charlize about how she felt James didn't protect her against Alicia. I mean, I understand you never want to get thrown under the bus by your son, but it also just showed me how deeply rooted, how hurt she was. And I think the reason she was so very hurt is because she was remembering all the times when she protected her son, and that even when her son was wrong, she stood by him. That is really what she's telling you. She's telling us that there have been so many times when her own son was wrong and he did things he shouldn't have done, and he got in trouble when he shouldn't have gotten in trouble. And what she did was she bailed him out. And she was saying that even if I was wrong, even if I was wrong in the way that I treated Alicia, and I shouldn't have said what I did to Alicia, I get that I was wrong and I went hard in the paint. But you didn't even have the ability to protect me when all those times you were wrong. And I'm not talking about being wrong as a child. What Miss Charlize was tapping into, you've been wrong as an adult. And I've come and I've saved you and I've rescued you and I've taken your side even when you were wrong. And here in this situation, here I am being wrong and you're not protecting me. I'm telling you, this is a deep history. And probably what James feels is if his mother has told him, I told you so in the past. And when his mom has said, I told you so in the past, it isn't just surrounding a girlfriend. I don't know if something went wrong in James's life with a woman and he got in too deep. I don't know. I have no idea. But his mother has bailed him out a time or two. And she was hurt over the fact that here we are a time or two and you couldn't protect me. Now, I'll tell you this about Alicia. She lied too, or she's in denial. She did not reject James because of who James's mother was. Let me tell you it again. It became a convenient add-on excuse she could tell the camera, but she was never interested in James. James isn't even her type. Alicia told us from the very beginning what she was looking for. She told that mama to her face that I work the nightlife because I can be in proximity to athletes. James is nowhere near being an athlete. He's a nerd. He's a geek. You could tell. He probably just got his braces off last week. Okay. So this idea that Alicia even liked James at all was never true. And she too was there for other reasons. And it was easy for her to say no to James, and because she didn't want James. And she played in front of the cameras just like she plays in her nightlife for tips. She's very good at that. And it was easy to pin it on Miss Charlize, that Miss Charlize was the reason she didn't choose James. But any woman out there, if you've ever been deeply attracted, in love with a man, close to it, even if the mama didn't like you initially, you may never win over the mother. There are plenty of women out here in marriages where they don't get along with their mother-in-laws. But let me tell you what you would do. You try. You would try. And the reason why I knew Alicia wasn't going to even be with James is because when she wrote that letter to that woman, Miss Charlize, that's when she said, I'm going to write you this letter, Miss Charlize, because I really don't give a damn whether you like me or not. Because honestly, I don't care if your son picks me or not, because I don't even want your son. Alicia realized there is no risk in me writing this letter to this mother, because although she could make it worse, she felt, who cares? I don't even like James. I don't even like James. And so James, once again, he's going to blame it on his mother But the truth of the matter is, Alicia never wanted James. And he's going to blame once again a debacle in his life to be about his mother. And this is why I tell the mother, Charlize, you need to step aside. Because if you do not step aside, Miss Charlize, James will continually blame you for the things that go wrong in his life. And I don't think James takes accountability. I don't. And I think that's why the mother has to continually bail him out. And the only way James is going to realize that the reason he falls on his face is because of him and not you is when you remove yourself from the movie. Like I said, it's the movie of our life. And oftentimes when we are in our children's lives, we are in their movie, but oftentimes they may overprescribe issues to the parents and vice versa. So if Miss Charlize doesn't want to be the villain in her son's life, she needs to say, I quit. I don't want to be any more of your movies. I will support you here on the side, but I don't want to be intricately involved in your life, saving you anymore. You're 30 years old. You need to learn how to take care of yourself in all sorts of ways. And lastly, we come to the Joshua, Miss Oma, Shambrielle, and Tamaris. Now, Joshua finally reveals to the ladies that he plays professional football. First of all, Joshua, you are a free agent. And I don't think you're actively playing football. So the fact that you keep running around saying you're a professional football player, I think is a little bit disingenuous because you're like no star. You probably don't even make that much money being on the roster. What's the minimum pay in football? $200,000. And I'm not saying that's not good money, but let's stop fronting out here. Let's stop fronting out here. I don't know how much you're getting paid. I don't even know what position you play. You look like you might be like a wide receiver maybe because you're not that big. So I don't know. What are you, a corner, wide receiver? You ain't no defensive back. I don't know what you are. But he tells Tamaris that he is in the NFL. And you could see the smile on Tamaris's face. Girl, Tamaris, I can't get with you no more. I told all the ladies, I can't get with you. Tamaris, girl. And the thing about Tamaris is she thinks she's fooling all these guys. And this is why she ends up where she ends up. I can see it now. And Joshua, he's got a lot of insecurities, a lot of them. And he was deathly afraid of a woman using him for his football status because what he knew was, and he said it in this episode, he said he's tired of being with women, and when the limelight goes away, they leave too. Basically, what he's saying is he's a free agent, which means he hops around from team to team. And if he meets you during the time he's on a team and you get with him, you're with him because he's on a team, he's a football player. But the minute he gets cut from that team and now he doesn't have a team, the ladies leave. So Joshua was very afraid of being left by women when the football life goes away, because what he knows is he's not really a real football player. And he knows, if these women are comfortable with me not being a football player, they're going to leave me. Joshua was afraid of being abandoned. And come on, people. We know where the fear of abandonment comes from. He was left by his mama. Okay. So these types of things carry through. He is deathly afraid of being left by a woman. And he knows that right now he overly uses his football status to get women. And then when he gets them, they leave him because he gets cut from the team. So he decides that he's going to tell the women that he's a football player. And basically what he did was he threw the bait out there. He threw the bait in the pond. And who bit on the bait? Tamaris. She bit. She bit so hard that this woman wound up in this man's bed. Tamaris went from not even wanting Joshua to kiss her on the lips, being so closed off, to all of a sudden Tamaris was running around talking about, I want to feel your skin on my skin. What the hell, Tamaris? You want to feel your skin on his skin? How the hell did we get here so fast, Tamaris? Oh, cue the Kanye West song. I'm not going to call her a gold digger. Now, listen, Tamaris, I will say this about her. I don't think she got a bad heart. I think Tamaris is not a ruthless woman, but she's not honest about what she wants. And it's quite clear that Tamaris is very interested in being with a high profile man. She is. And so, like I said, you got to take ownership of the role you play in your movie. I'm not saying you can't make that type of movie. That's fine, Tamaris. Make whatever kind of movie you want. But when you go into the lion's den, you got to be prepared to get devoured by the lions. And what Tamaris thinks is that she can go into the lion's den and she can take from the lion, eat his food, but yet the lion will never devour her. It's not going to happen, Tamaris. It's not going to happen. Even when she had that little one-on-one date with Joshua, she spent a whole lot of time trying to convince Joshua that he should choose her. And the more she pressured Joshua, the more Joshua started getting triggered because he started saying, wow, this sounds so eerily familiar, where everybody all of a sudden thinks I'm the best thing since sliced bread once they find out I play for the NFL. And Miss Shambrielle, she played a different card. Shambrielle said, I don't care that you're a high profile person. I've dated a lot of high profile people. I saw somewhere out there they were showing Miss Shambrielle's Instagram account, and she has a lot of sexy pictures. Miss Shambrielle, I don't know if the current look is how the looks are on the Instagram, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into that. But what she did was she tried to say effectively that I'm not really into your money because I got my own money, I got my own career, and I believe for the most part that is true about Miss Shambrielle. But Miss Shambrielle was also shocked when Joshua chose her because Miss Shambrielle probably realized, just like the brother said, is she is not physically, even in her own beauty, she is not physically Joshua's type. And this idea that men can go from not liking you aesthetically to all of a sudden now liking you because they've mentally connected with you is not true. So I doubt Miss Shambrielle and Joshua are still together. I could be wrong. Let me know. Are they still together? Probably not, but let me know. Could be wrong. So all this stuff Miss Shambrielle was doing to prove to Joshua that she's not a gold digger and to prove that pretty girls can have fun in the mud. And I'm not so prissy that I can get down in the mud. It really doesn't matter because in the end, he's not attracted to Miss Shambrielle that kind of way. And the only reason he chose Miss Shambrielle is because what is he more afraid of? Is he more afraid of being with a woman that he isn't necessarily fully attracted to in that kind of way? Or is he more afraid of being with a woman that he knows might leave him when she finds out he's a free agent with no job? It's the latter. It's the latter of the two. Shambrielle was the safe choice. She was not the choice he would have wanted to make. But if he looks at the type of pain he's willing to endure, he'd rather endure the pain of being left by a woman like Shambrielle, who he doesn't care about that much, than to be left by a woman that he did care about, and then she leaves him because he really ain't no football player. So Miss Shambrielle should have said no too. Even in the end, when he chose her, what she should have realized was, I am the default choice because the woman you really wanted proved to you that she's a gold digger. And you didn't want to choose that, so you chose me, the second place. And Miss Shambrielle should have walked away and said, I will not be your second choice. That's what she should have done, but she didn't do it. But like I said, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. And sometimes you just got to sit back and see how things play out. Somebody told me today that I also called right the Jay and Cinco story. I don't know how I was right. I don't know because I have not watched the reunion. I'm going to need to watch the reunion to figure out how I was right. But I guess the only thing I predicted with Jay and Cinco was that they might have problems once they're in their real lives because Jay is a mother and Jay was doing a whole lot of catering to Cinco in the house. And I was really concerned with when Cinco saw Jay in her own element, would he be okay with that? I didn't see them making it because I felt they weren't having the right conversations. And I felt like they both just wanted to win the competition and they weren't having real serious conversations. So I don't know if that's the part that I was right about because I don't know what else I predicted with them, but we shall see. I'm going to watch the reunion and see what happens on the reunion. And then I'm going to come back and do a review on Never Ever Mets. But that's it, y'all. Somebody's Son, should they get a season 2? I think so. I believe that the show was good enough to have a season 2. Personally, me. I enjoyed it. I really did. All these shows, I think that there are lessons learned, even when they don't turn out the way we want them to, even though we see unscrupulous behavior. I still find it entertaining and I find it very interesting about human behavior. So I hope they do get a season 2. Because even though we saw some women slipping in the beds, it still wasn't as bad as some of these other shows. So, but that's all I got, y'all. That's all I got. So I will talk to you soon about Never Ever Mets. Talk to y'all later. Bye.